as well. Now, our lunchtime guests today are Peter and Neil Haworth of Legend. They're in Legend. It is Legend singular, isn't it?
Legend, yeah.
Legend.
Yeah, yeah.
Apologies. Hi, guys. How are you?
As opposed to leg end.
Yes, or legends, I was going to say plural, because I was expecting to see one of you, and I got two of you in today. How are you?
Good.
Yeah?
Yeah, we've been through quite a lengthy process from when we last spoke, which was to promote our 30th anniversary concert at the Drift last February. Then we've been in the studio pretty much for the third part of last year, and the album's finally released.
So, just because we spoke to you around your 30th anniversary, around that time, but for those who either weren't in the island or are too young, just remind us who Legend are and how you started out and what sort of places you were playing, that sort of thing.
Okay,
early days Legend.
Okay, early days Legend, we were all a lot younger.
Okay.
We were formed in 1980. We'd played the obvious places like Inn on the Park and Springfield and so on and so forth, and sort of the other clubs, but we mainly did concerts because we wanted to focus on writing music. So we released our first album in 1980. It got played on Tommy Vance's Friday Rock Show on BBC One. And then I think the following night we supported Thin Lizzy at Fort Regent, and it really took off from there, and we sold enough copies of the first album to fund the second album. And the album that's being released on the 15th, which you've got with you now, is our fifth album. So we're probably, as always, the most famous band in Jersey that no one's ever heard of.
Tell us there about, I mean, you said that you tried to focus on concerts because you were about music writing. So do you think people sort of focus their efforts, different bands focus their efforts differently if they're playing gigs as opposed to concerts? What's the difference?
Well, I think, you know, when there's a lot of young bands, and to go out and do the regular gigs is good. You know, it gets experience underneath their belt. A lot of bands start off by playing covers and just getting the experience of playing live and getting their sound right, and then, you know, certain individuals in bands usually find their own paths and decide what they want to do. But with Legend, I think the background of the guys in the band had already done that apprenticeship, as you can call it, and decided when the band was formed to focus on the more creative side of their passion and write and develop music, you know, with their influences in the background. And that was what Legend really was about. So rather than, oh, the band's playing this weekend at such a place, or this pub, or that nightclub, it became an event so that people really looked forward to it and knew that the opportunity to see the band wasn't going to be, oh, you know, we can't see them this week, but they'll be playing somewhere else next week. So it created the actual Legend gigs formed into an event that everybody's kind of, you know, looked forward to.
I have to say as well, I mean, I'm a rubbish musician, but if I'd broken my back to write a piece of music that I'd be really proud of, and it was only taken in by people who had a pint in their hand and were facing the other way, I think I'd feel quite irritated and sensitive about that. Do some musicians feel like that, do you think?
Well, I don't know.
Unless it's a dance track?
Yeah, no, I think it's pretty much, if you feel like you've done a decent piece of art, and that's what music is, you've created something that you're pleased with, then it doesn't matter who likes it. It could be your grandchild that likes it, or it could be an audience of 50,000 people. The fortunate thing for us is that we were part of the new wave of British heavy metal era, and our albums were distributed worldwide, and people were making cassette copies of them. So our fan base now is pretty much international. Just the new album that's coming out, The Dark Place, we've had orders from as far away as Malaysia.
Really? Legend fans in Malaysia?
Yes, South Korea.
Is South better than North?
Yeah. Canada, America, all over Europe. When we did our concert at the Drift, people came over from Switzerland, Belgium and Holland.
Just remind us what was going on there, because that was around the time that we spoke with you last time.
Yeah, well, it was just like, we just wanted to get together and do a 30th anniversary concert, pretty much. That was it, just a celebration. And it went so well. I think nearly 1,000 people turned up.
Wow.
Yeah, no. And
were you expecting it to be that busy?
No, it was a night of the big fog as well. So a lot of people were trapped at Heathrow and Gatwick and wherever. But yeah, it was phenomenal, and it was that, I think, that created the inspiration to say, look, there is life in the old dog. Yeah. Not much, but
but some enough to work with.
Yeah.
Well, listen, guys. I know we're going to listen to something from the album in just a few minutes, but we're just going to sort out the track order and that sort of thing. We'll play some music and we'll be back with the guys straight after this. It's BBC Radio Jersey. Carry with you. We're joined in the studio by brothers Neil and Peter Haworth of Legend, and we're talking about their new album, At the Dark Place. I really like the cover of this album. Where's this house? It is a dark place.
Yeah, it's in Cyprus.
Is it?
It's in part of the area of Cyprus that was sort of like started to be built and then suddenly...
And then abandoned in the 60s.
Yeah.
That was back in the 60s. What a groovy looking place. So tell us about the album The Dark Place. How long was it in the making? What kind of, I mean, was it enjoyable effort?
It was hard work.
Was it?
Yeah, we probably spent about 3 months writing the material.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
And then another couple of months recording it locally. And then we got it mastered at Abbey Road Studios in London in January. So it's been quite a lengthy process. So.
And you've got fans in some unlikely places, haven't you?
All over the world, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, the pre-sales, we had it on pre-sale through our webpage and through Facebook. And it was the first minute we went live with it, we had an order straight in from North America, the USA. And we were kind of... I was actually on the phone to Peter and just talking about something, and I said, I can't believe it, we just pressed the button and we've already had an order in. And then it kind of progressed from there. I mean, it's been on pre-sale for about a week and a half, that's all. And as Peter had mentioned before, we've had orders from the USA, Canada, Finland, Denmark, Sweden, Mauritius as well, which was another place, as well as the South Korean, and yeah, it's just been phenomenal. One guy from Bangladesh as well. So it's quite surprising how wide a field our music is actually known, and the fan base is. And we are forever getting emails saying, come and play here, come and play there. And it's, it's one of those things. We're quite humbled by it, but also... You know, there is there's a lot of logistics involved in arranging tours and doing these sort of gigs. So.
And we are a Jersey band.
Sure. I get the impression that metal music, generally fans of metal music, are almost evangelistic about their sound, because it's not something that's being churned out all the time. So like you said, as soon as news is out there that there's a new metal album on the scene, people will reach out and grab it. Would that be fair?
Yeah, I mean it's like, you know, the rage at the moment is like One Direction and JLS and all that sort of stuff. But the minute Metallica announce a world tour, they're playing to hundreds of thousands of people, and that's always been the way it is. It's like it is evangelistic.
I'm going to play a little bit of this tune. Yeah, I said to you, okay, just do bear with us, but I did say to you, any tracks on this album that are sort of radio friendly? And you've suggested track 1, and you said it's rocky, but it's not too rocky. And I listened to the first 8 bars, and I said, well, Pete, it's pretty rocky. So it's a bit rocky, and then it starts being quite as rocky. But we'll listen to a bit, just to give us a bit of a sample, and we can talk over some of the rest of it. Should we do that?
Yep.
It's BBC Radio Jersey. This is Legend. It's The Dark Place, and this is the title track from the new album.
radio show.
You're listening to BBC Radio Jersey. If you've just tuned in and you're wondering what we're listening to, it's Legend with their new album, The Dark Place, and that's the title track, The Dark Place, the first track on the album itself. Now, you guys are taking this album to Germany soon, aren't you? Tell us about that.
Yeah, we're playing it's what's known as a Keep It True festival, otherwise known as KIT, which is a sort of an annual old school heavy metal festival held in Frankfurt in Germany. We've kindly been invited, so we're going to be playing.
You were saying there earlier, it's not always logistically straightforward to get a whole team of people and all your kit to another country. So how do you decide which offers you go for and which you just let slide?
I think it's a matter of, you know, we work very collectively as a band, and we discuss all these offers. I mean, we had numerous offers late last year to play London. We had 2 or 3 major festivals that we could have played at, but logistically, due to other commitments that individuals had, you know, we just couldn't do it. And it does form a problem when you're in Jersey, having to go and play these sort of places. Now, fortunately for us, the KIT Festival, as well as a few of the other European venues that do hold similar sort of events, now have cottoned on that there's no point in having 30 bands turn up with all their vans. They might as well have the back line up there ready and waiting for you. We literally just have to take our guitars and effects pedals, and Jack the drummer needs to take his drumsticks, and you know, we go up there and play. They formatted in a way that there's before you go on stage, there's a kind of a back room rehearsal, so you can kind of just get kind of warmed up, and then out on the stage with an engineer, and you've got your preset sounds, and away you go.
I imagine also it's not that straightforward when you've got, you know, a group of guys who have got the already existing lives to say, right, drop everything and come to the other side of the world.
I mean, again, the dates are important. Fortunately, it's a Saturday night, so it's a case of going over on the Friday, playing on the Saturday, coming back on the Sunday. So in terms of the impact over the weekend, it's not great. But we are sharing a guest house with 4 or 5 other heavy metal bands, some who are quite well known, and there's only one bathroom.
How lovely. I'm glad I'm not coming.
That's rock and roll.
Yeah, it's going to be quite an adventure, really. But we're really, really looking forward to it, you know. And the thing is, most of our the majority of our fan base is either in Europe or in America. So it seemed a logical place to play.
I know a guy in the UK who's got a band, and he can never get it's a bigger band in terms of the amount of instruments, because it's a ska band, so there's about 10 of them with horns and stuff, and he's got 2 of each, because the chances of getting everybody to do the same thing at the same time are just nigh on impossible. So he's got 2 drummers, 2 guitarists, so the mix-up of the band is probably different every time they go on stage.
Yeah, I think it's down to the commitment of the band members as well. You know, I know of certain musicians over here, for example, that do commit to 2 or 3 different sort of bands, and they end up, one band's got a gig booked here, and so another band can't play somewhere else. We're slightly different in that we're totally committed to the Legend band, and because we know that opportunities will arise that we have to do our best to commit to. So all the members of Legend as such aren't doing anything else, any side projects or things with other people, and we kind of stick as this nucleus and just focus on the job of doing Legend, if you know what I mean.
That's why we're here 33 years on.
Absolutely. Jersey used to have quite a strong band culture. I guess you feel that I'm putting words in your mouth now, but how do you feel about the way that's dissolved?
I think a lot of it's got to do with venues. I know there's a strong culture of bands in the island. I know Lamott Street has done a great amount of work to assist them. We've used Lamott Street a couple of times for rehearsals, and chatted with some of the bands who are also rehearsing down in the rooms down there. But it's finding the venues to play, especially if you're doing original material. Yeah. Whereas in our day, we could do original material, and that's what people expected. Like in London, you know, if you go to London, you'd expect a band to be doing original material, not covers. You expect covers at a wedding reception, and that's about it, you know. So I think the one thing that Jersey's lacking at the moment is a lack of venues.
But we've got some great talent over here as well. I've been to see some of the local bands coming up, you know, and yeah, we've got some great talent. As always, Jersey has produced really good musicians, and it's just frustrating that the venues over the years have kind of diminished to get those guys the opportunity to go out and play. Like Peter mentioned before, you know, for us to play, you know, we need a venue with between 500 to 1,000, because we know that's how many people will most probably turn up. Now, you know, it's difficult to find somewhere with the you know, the decent acoustics and the relevant setup internally to actually play those sort of gigs over here. It's very limited, the choice we have.
I was going to say, I mean, there certainly are some bands here, but looking at I mean, we have a local folder here of local music made here. A lot of singer-songwriters, a lot of young people just doing their own thing with their instruments, and I don't know if it's...
But it can be a lot more personal, so, you know, there's a guy I know who's a great singer-songwriter, and he's quite comfortable, sort of. He can play a pub, and it's very, very personal. It's, you know, it works. But when you're a band like us, playing at the volume levels that we are and attracting 1,000 people, it's like, where are we going to play? We can't play a pub.
No.
You know. Whereas we can't play the likes of Springfield like we used to be able to do, and Fort Regent. I mean, you know, when we sported Thin Lizzy, we played in front of 2,000 there.
Tell me about tell me about Springfield as a venue, because that's one I've been to. In on the Park, I've been to Fort Regent, but I'd never been to Springfield. It was way before my time.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. If that's for me, I'm not here.
How strange. We don't have any ringing phones in the studio. Tori, would you come and give me a hand for a minute? There seems to be a phone. Maybe there's a very special message for us. How strange. Would you grab this for me? Crikey, it's the ghost. Hang on, I'm going to pass it to Tori. There we go. Would you grab that for me? Thank you very much. Sorry, guys. Excuse us.
Hello, the BBC Radio studio. There's no one there.
There's no one there.
I think it's a prank.
A prank? I didn't even know that phone worked.
Oh, well, there you go.
Well, there we go. Magic happening in the company of a legend here at BBC Radio Jersey. Where were we?
Springfield.
Springfield. Tell me about Springfield.
Well, there was a time when, I can't remember what it was called. I think it was something like Rock Family. Somebody put together an organisation called Rock Family, and they tried to group about 6 or 7 bands together to play at Springfield. Because historically Springfield had been used by the Beatles, Rolling Stones, and I remember playing on stage at Springfield when I was about probably 17, something like that.
Wow.
Which is about, well, years ago. Elizabeth Castle.
Were you at the Rolling Stones gig?
Do I look that old?
I can't remember what year was it?
Oh, it would have been 64, I think.
Oh, right, okay. It was earlier than I thought. I remember bringing it up on the radio once, and somebody calling up to say that Mick Jagger got tomatoed. Did you ever hear about that? He got pelted by rotting tomatoes.
I mean, Led Zeppelin played an impromptu at In on the Park.
Really?
Yeah.
What year was that?
Oh, that's 70
something.
Yeah.
I mean, Neil's played tennis with Steve Harris, the bass player in Iron Maiden, when they were at they rented Corbière. Was it?
Yeah, the Chalet Hotel. Yeah, we used to
up at
go
Corbière,
and
they wrote
see them.
They were at Number of the Beast up there. Was it?
No, Peace of Mind album.
Peace of Mind album.
It does seem that we were sort of more firmly on the gig circuit at one point in time, and we're not now, are we? At all?
No, I mean, when you look at, I mean, it's the same. It's the general story about Jersey, and especially with the tourism industry. When you look or think back, the amount of venues the island had. You know, you had the Beltamaron, you had the New Mediterranean, you had the Chateau Plaisir, you had Corbière Pavilion. All these places. Yeah, all these places. But you know, with the decreasing of tourism, and I think obviously drinking and driving had a major influence on these places, just really, you know, shutting up shop. There was no business, and this kind of decimated really the opportunities or the places for bands to play. And now we're left with literally a handful of hotels, which again, their function rooms are either designed for it or not. There is one local hotel which I won't say the name, but they've got a perfect facility in the centre of town, but they're just not interested in accommodating what we want to do, and they're just focusing on their kind of corporate entertaining, which is a shame, because it could be the benefit of all parties concerned, but that's the way it is. So.
I mean, obviously Jersey Live has raised the profile and big gig on the park, but...
but in terms of, you know, in 2 weeks on Saturday, such and such a band that aren't doing covers that we do actually know. I mean, that's another thing I wanted to ask you. You're releasing an album. People, I don't know if young people, I mean, I imagine metal fans will buy this album as an album, but people seem to be a bit out of practice of buying and listening to a whole body of work at any one time, you know, and a lot of artists are just focusing on banging out singles sporadically in order to maintain the attention of the public. But do you worry about
I don't worry
throwing
about
out an hour?
No, I don't worry about it at all. I've always seen an album as a body of work. Some people will identify with individual tracks. Some might be more suitable for radio-friendly airplay. But I come from the school of, you know, Dark Side of the Moon. It's a body of work, and that album is a body of work. We'll be making it available individual tracks, digital download. We're doing a vinyl version of it, because that's very popular now. And they want the body of work on vinyl with the gatefold sleeve and all the lyrics and everything else. So, yeah, I don't see a problem with producing a body of work. But I think in the days of Tubular Bells, if someone had said to Mike Oldfield, well, let's just release one single and see how it goes, you know what I mean?
I mean, also, I think there are a lot of tracks within, say, Pink Floyd albums that standalone wouldn't necessarily mean anything. They need to be sandwiched with whatever comes before and after.
I think so, and like, bands are remembered for our kind of music. They're more remembered for the albums. You know, when you hear a discussion or debate, you know, generally people relate to an album rather than a particular track, unless it's been a top 40 commercial hit. But generally, you know, you talk about Dark Side of the Moon, we talk about, you know, Volume 4 by Sabbath, or The Song Remains the Same by the Zeppelin, or, you know, Iron Maiden by Iron Maiden, Number of the Beast albums. It's always the albums, and then, you know, people can get into debate or discussion about particular tracks on them. But bands of our kind of genre of music are more related to by the albums.
It's getting the airplay as well. I mean, the fans can go home and listen to the album on their headphones and get immersed in the album, whereas they can put it on the radio and they're unlikely to hear a track off that album.
All right, well, listen, guys, thank you so much for coming in. It's great to see you again. The album itself, Legend, The Dark Place, where can people find it? When can they get their hands on it?
Yeah, it's available online via legendjersey.com, the band's website. But locally, CD Johns will be stocking it from tomorrow, so you can get it locally from CD Johns up in Queen's Road.
Nice one. Guys, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much for inviting us. Thank you for your support as well.
You're very welcome. You're listening to BBC Radio Jersey. That's Peter and Neil Haworth of Legend. And as we were saying, that album, The Dark Place, is out. It is out now. It is out now.
Well, Jersey, it's released tomorrow. To internationally, it's the 15th.
Right. Okay. And you can get it from CD John.